What's up, everybody? Mark with Cardvox Academy here, and this is an impulse video. So I saved it. I found this video like a week ago, maybe, and I saved it. I'll tell you why. Because the band is called Organectomy, and the song is called Tracheal Hanging. Yikes! Trachea is basically your windpipe, for anybody curious. And when I was, it was like 2 a.m. I should have been asleep. Probably 11. Let's be honest. I can't hang out like I used to. But it was too late at night for me to be awake. I'm scrolling through YouTube suggested, and I see a band called Organectomy and a song called Tracheal Hanging, and I was like, I'm gonna have to check this out. I get like 30 seconds in, and I pause it, and I'm like, nah. I gotta save the rest of this. I gotta do a reaction video because it's a lot. It's a lot, and I'm really excited to talk about it. Now, if you're new to the channel, my name is Mark. I'm a metal vocalist of about 14 years. I'm also a full-time metal vocal coach, teaching people how to do all sorts of, metal vocals safely and efficiently, so they can pursue their metal vocal dreams. And I'm also in a band called Kardashev. I'm the vocalist for Kardashev since day one. We're on Metal Blade Records. Check it out. It's not like Organectomy, that's for sure. But I have done music kind of like this before, so it's going to be a lot of fun. Anyways, I really don't have much to say because I don't know much about tracheal hanging. So let's just get into it. I feel like this is going to be pure filth, and I'm very excited. Here we go. Okay, so that's about as far as I got. So I'm gonna pause it there because this is about the point where I paused it and I was like, I gotta make a video about this. So straight up, I love this guy's tone. Don't know what his name is. Don't know anything about him, but I love this guy's tone. It's very Travis Ryan. It's very sludgy. In the last video I did, I don't know if they're going to go up in this order, but in the last video I did, I said a lot of like false chord and arytenoidal vocals sound like shaking a bowl of Jetto. Jetto? What the hell? Jello, shaking a bowl of Jello. Well, anyways, I was going to make a joke about Vine, but that was just going to make me sound old. Anyways, I love his tone. Let's talk about what's going on here. This is very much in my wheelhouse. This is very much like up my alley as far as vocal techniques are concerned. So the first thing I want to point out is that this technique that we're hearing, not super loud. Not super loud. One of the easiest ways to control really low gurgly vocals is to do them kind of quietly. And the reason for this, among other things, is that the slower something vibrates, generally speaking, the lower tone we're gonna get, right? A very fast vibration gets a higher tone, very low vibration gets a lower tone. There's more to it than this, of course, but so if we're taking this distortion, we really kind of want to use it as a speaking voice. So we've got like this. He's got like this very slappy, poppy distortion that I really enjoy. It sounds to me like he's leaning on like a more arytenoidal epiglottal sound. So, or the arytenoids are these two big cartilages. Sometimes you'll see them referred to as the cuneiform cartilages, right? Up above the vocal folds and kind of behind, capping the aryepiglottic folds, which close in over the vocal tract when we swallow. And the epiglottis is basically, it looks like a trap door that when you swallow, its whole purpose is when you swallow, it covers up the airway, right? So when you take a drink or eat something and something goes down the wrong pipe, it's probably because your epiglottis was on vacation and didn't let you know. But essentially, if we take like this weird, like, this sort of orc voice, and I drop the voice out from it. So instead of going, and at the same time, I'm here, and I get this really chunky, gurgly distortion. That's a lot of what I'm hearing here, and it sounds sick. I'm also hearing really narrow embouchure, and really open embouchure, or I'm sorry, pharyngeal space, or. But let's keep going. So far, I love it. Also, really interesting that we have such like a death metal vibe, a name like Tracheal Hanging, a name like Organectomy, very death metal sound, but we've got a very, what to me, if you disagree, let me know, because I don't do a lot of mixing. It sounds like a very thal mix. It sounds like very like, you know, yeah, I don't know how else to say it. A very thal-y mix. Anyways, here we go. Bro. I love this song. I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna go back a little bit because I was waiting for a good place to stop, but I couldn't find any. We got some punch your buddy riffs, right? These are punch your buddy riffs. These are riffs that when you're at the show, you know, you look at your friend and you're like, I'm so sorry about this. Crack! Just kidding. Don't hit your friends at shows. Don't be a crowd killer. Crowd killers are clowns. And any defense of crowd killers just makes you look like a clown. Anyway, so this song is so gratuitous, but I absolutely love it. I love it. So I love his clicky, like, like that, very clicky. That's an interesting sound. That's not what I make very much. So I'm still building. All right, I'm just kind of playing around. So you're just gonna watch me freeform and play with some vocals for a second. Thank you for watching. So I'm gonna take this. Yeah, I have to go really low pressure to maintain that flappy, floppy distortion. Now, of course, I don't have a scope, so I can't see. There's gotta be some epiglottis flopping around in there. It also helps if I pull my tongue back. But if I pull my tongue back and down, it doesn't feel very comfortable. It gets kind of choky and scratchy. But if I think about pulling my tongue back on a horizontal axis, yeah, that would be a fun tone to play around with. I also feel like because of the tongue pulling back, I'm having to really open up, almost uncomfortably so that the tone stays rounded and doesn't sound choked back, but that it's not painful. Like I could probably do a whole song of that and maybe even a whole set of that and not really feel any negative repercussions. That's fascinating. And the moment I lean into it, it loses that chunk. So there we are. If I lean, that then does become uncomfortable. And I want to keep the tongue more neutral, put it in the front of the face. Really cool. Very interesting. We're bordering into slam here. We're getting to like the slam territory. And again, what an interesting recipe. We've got death metal vibes, thali mix, slam vocals. This is a recipe that you try for a first time. And at first it's like this flavor's kind of strange, but with each bite, you're like, you know, this is really good. Dang, this is really good. All right, let's keep going. Okay, I'm going to pause it there. Oh, what a good screenshot. Woo! I love when I pause it at cool moments. Look how scary he looks. Like a lot of times metal people try to look scary and they don't. That's like if I was walking down the street or I was like out in the woods and there was like some swamp and this guy was standing in the swamp, I would be like, this is it. This is how I die. So I heard a couple things that were very, very cool. So the first thing I heard was, actually, I'm going to flip the order I'm talking about. So we had some very standard false chord vocals, and false chord vocals are dope. I love them. They're easy to do. They're easy to control. They don't require a lot of effort. Once you realize how low effort they are, you don't have to like find a sweet spot. You can just kind of grunt and boom, there you have it. Right now, of course, it's, if you're just learning it, it's not necessarily that easy. But once you get everything in line, you're like, oh shit. Oftentimes when I'm teaching my students, I mostly teach false chord, although I've had a big influx of fry students recently, which is interesting. But oftentimes when I'm teaching students, the moment that it clicks, which doesn't usually take too long, they're like, oh, it's literally just grunting without my vocal cords. And I'm like, yeah, that's basically it, right? And a lot of what you're hearing in this song really builds on false chord as a fundamental framework, right? So one way that we can get into this, and if, I'm only going to go into basic detail here, but if you're interested in learning how to do a lot of the vocals that I do and the vocals that you hear in this video, and a lot of stuff that you even hear in like metalcore, deathcore, everything like that, false chord fundamentals, which is an e-course that we have on our website, carterboxacademy.com, is super useful. It's helped a lot of people. I've even got a section of what to do when things go wrong, which I think is really helpful as well. But one way that we can sort of find our false chord is to, this is an old technique, I certainly didn't make this up, but is to basically do Kargria, one of the best things. In Kargria, certain type of throat singing sounds like this. And a lot of times people will hear that and they'll be like, oh man, how am I supposed to do that? It's really not that hard. I had to count it. What's the fifth letter of the alphabet? E. Say E. E. Right? Now, while I do that, I'm going to think about like kickstarting a bike, but I'm going to kickstart it with like just the normal way that I clear my throat, which is like, right? And when I do that, I'm not trying to do like a metal vocal throat clear. This is literally when I'm up late at night, playing video games. Right now it's Final Fantasy VII Remake because I'm preparing for Final Fantasy VII Rebirth coming out soon. Hey. If I'm up late playing video games and I take a drink of water, and I'm not even thinking, that's what I'm doing. So I did this E, whatever pitch you want, as long as it's, comfortable and around your speaking range. E, and then I'm going to go while I'm doing that. Now, I know that I'm saying like, oh, it's just 2 steps, put them together. It might take you a couple days, maybe even a week. So don't get frustrated if it takes a while. But when we have this, there it is. When we have that, we've got everything placed for a really nice false chord vocal. What I do from there is I engage my core, right? And then I'm just going to let the vocal cords fall away and increase my airflow a little bit. So it's kind of like I'm doing this. But with Kargria. So it's going to sound like this. And also another thing is it can be easier to do it staccato, like little staccato pulses versus legato, but I'll show you both. Right? So here's the more held out, the more legato way, right? So right? And there you go. Fundamental false chord sound. If it's hard to blend like that, you can go and then when you go just make it a little bit more airy. Hey, and you've got a basic false chord. And he pulled it up into a really good false chord high, right? So for example, if we take that basic false chord sound, this right here, nothing fancy. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to think about getting a little bit more nasal. Now you've got some cool false chord highs. And then the transition from that to the slammy stuff can be kind of difficult. But if we take our Kargria, and we kind of think about swallowing that Kargria, yeah, I love false chords, so I can talk about it for a long time. Anyways, whatever this guy's name is, let's hear him gurgle more because he is dang good at it. Let's go. Oh, Christ. That is so dirty. I love the cadence. Dum 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 bum 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 bum. Bum 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 bum. It's very predictable, but it's very predictable in a very March way. Like, um, like sometimes I really enjoy that. Like think about like, when you see in movies and you see, I don't know if they actually do this in the military because I'm not in the military, but in the movies you see them doing, they're like, huh, 2 3 4 2 2 3 4, right? The point of that is for it to be predictable so everybody can kind of be on the same page, right? And that had such a march, like a march of corpses vibe. I don't know. But yeah, I absolutely love this guy's tone, and he's doing something really interesting that I feel like I don't hear a lot in deathcore. Um, Maybe it's all over the place in deathcore. I don't know. But I hear it here. So oftentimes when we're doing vocals, we're trying to be as open as possible, right? Because that's where we get all our resonance from, and that makes sense. High vocals were wide open. Low vocals where the lips are narrow, but everything in here is open. He's doing something that's really cool. The mouth is narrow, the pharynx is open wide. Ooh, ooh, ooh. And you can kind of hear it. So I'm going to narrow everything. And if I do a vocal through there, I've got my tongue kind of here. Okay. It gets you these like really vomity sounding vocals that are really fun to do. That can be a difficult movement muscularly to make. And sometimes what'll happen is people will like play around with that and they'll think they're doing something wrong because it's very, very straining and tiring. It's just because your coordination's a little off. If you take it slow, you can actually find how to move these muscles independently in a very relaxed fashion. Like if you think about a lot of like, I don't know, because I'm not super in plugged in, but if I think a lot about of a lot of like hip hop dancing and things like back in the day, there are a lot of like isolative movements, right? They move just their hand, just their arm, and it looks amazing, right? We kind of do that with our metal vocals as well. Like you have to move just your tongue this way, and then just your jaw, and then lift the soft palate, but don't close in the sides of the pharyngeal wall because that'll ruin your tone, right? And oftentimes we don't need to think about it that in depth, right? But if I take, a low, or just my distortion, close everything, and then open in the back, not the front, just the back. Well, that made me have to burp. Much better. Close everything and just open the back. This lover can be black. Sounds pretty cool. And this guy's tone is phenomenal with it. Oh, there are only fucking like barely 8. There's only 8 seconds left. Anyways, we're going to listen to these 8 seconds because they're probably awesome. That grindy, so sick. Oh, another way that can be easy to find, help make it easier to find your cargaria is don't try to do cargaria, just do a gritty voice. So like a lot of my students who they're like, oh, I cannot do cargaria for the life of me. What I do is I strategically trick them into thinking we're doing something else. And I'm like, okay, let's make like a gritty pirate voice. Yar, I'm a pirate. Yar, I'm a pirate. Arr. Right? That doesn't sound like cargaria at all. But what if I took that, yar, I'm a pirate, and I say it on slow motion. Yar, I'm a pirate. Slower motion. Yar, I'm a pirate. Now you're doing cargaria, right? Although realistically, if you can say, yar, I'm a pirate, you can just whisper that. Yar, I'm a pirate. Yar, I'm a pirate. And that's one thing that's really important about a lot of metal vocals. Not all of them. This is not true across the board, but a lot of metal vocals, they'll be better if you think about them as a speaking voice versus like a projected singing voice, right? There'll be a lot more easy control. So when you're doing something like, I'm not approaching that as like I'm singing where everything has to be like projected and beautiful and out. I'm thinking about like a speaking voice, like, I don't have anything. I was going to read something, but I don't have anything on my desk. Okay, here we go. Oh, bank statement. Here we go. So I can pull this up and it can be like, for return mail purposes only, P.O. Box 333, right? And then once we put like that to a tempo, to a time signature, then it sounds kind of cool. Anyway, man, I cannot get over this phlegmy cough. Anyway, despite what popped up on the screen, that was Organectomy. All right, now this is a stupid ad. You know what? I'm tired of you. How about that? Stupid ad. Well, this is the one I'm doing next. Job for a Cowboy. So anyways, that was Organectomy. Tracheal Hanging. I love that song. I hope you loved it too. Many thanks. Much love. I'm out.